Oops.
What'd you forget?
I always do this. I'm setting this up. Whoop. And I forget to show the logo when we start.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So I just streamed our setup. So anyway, hey y'all. This is Counselor Curtis.
With Jimmy Doane.
This is Jimmy Doane Show. We are here live on YouTube twice a week these days, at Wednesdays at 4 and Sundays at 4. If there's any problem with this stream, which you'll notice it may be something a little bit something, well, it's hard to say. I'll upload a pristine copy right afterwards, but anyway.
Well, today's the third, what is it, the second or the third?
The 3rd of October.
So it's our first October Jimmy Doane Show.
That's right.
And today was a very notable day.
Oh, it was.
Notable day.
In
Did you get your signal?
Oh yes! Oh my God!
Can you imagine?
Oh,
I was down there. I was down at the.
I heard the collective scream.
Yeah, the
California.
collective scream. Right. Oh my God. Well, you know what's interesting? There are millions of Americans wireless phone users on Wednesday. It was about 2:30 today, I think.
Yeah, 2:18.
2:18. Is that what it was? Yeah. Will receive an emergency text message bearing the banner "Presidential Alert," unless their phones are shut off or out of reception range or away from the middle of a long call. Now, a short call, I guess, bust in, but I don't know how they're going to tell if it's a long call or not. But they will not be able to block, or otherwise get out. I went to my settings, just for laugh, because you can block the Amber Alerts.
Oh, you can?
Yes, on an iPhone.
Oh.
You can block the Amber Alerts, and of course, usually here in Florida, the Amber Alerts are from Miami or someplace.
Right. Do you have to sign something that says like "I hate children" or something?
Whatever, I don't know. But anyway, you can't block, and sure enough, it.
Oh yeah.
It came on. I mean, it was all full blown.
Do not try. Why are you trying to block?
Yeah, that's right. Well, not only that. I mean, I was wondering when he's going to hitch this up to his Twitter account.
Oh yeah. Well,
so
we'll see.
Anyway, it was a test. This is just a test. Don't panic yet. 230. Let's see. It said here there's supposed to 225 million Americans are going to supposedly receive the alert. 25% of the phones expected not to receive for a variety of reasons.
Like what?
Well, one thing, as I found, and I meant to try this today, was to buy a bag at the 7-Eleven.
Oh, put it in the thing?
Because it's tin foil. I mean, it's made out of foil. So you put it in there and see
if it.
Now, of course, that's the same as actually turning it off.
Treason.
Yeah, treason. Right. Yeah. we still have you on Wi-Fi tracking. We can triangulate.
That's right. We have determined you have thwarted the president's message.
So I mean that's just another, as I say,
you cross your fingers and you think like, please don't use it, please don't use it,
yeah,
please don't use it.
Well,
but then you think Trump and you're like, he's gonna use it, he's gonna use it like this week, If nothing else, it'll be, hi everybody,
hi everybody,
I'm President Trump.
Yeah, that's right. That's it'll be interesting to see because maybe there'll be an invasion from Uganda or something coming in, storming the shores of Daytona Beach, so everybody's going to be put on alert. I don't know. Okay, next thing, just a couple of trivial things before we get into the major stuff. Do you have something in particular you're going to talk about today?
Not really, no.
Okay, well, then I'll probably cover some of the stuff.
Okay.
The Kavanaugh, blah, blah, blah,
right,
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, an 11th hour breakthrough that may have saved the North American Free Trade Agreement that Trump, at midnight, before the deadline, apparently they signed something with Canada. Deadline, right at the deadline, which, but of course they apparently everybody has to approve it sometime next year, the legislatures. But I was listening to Peter Schiff and he said, well, this is like, it's NAFTA light, not even that, it's a slight change in NAFTA.
Yeah, look,
it's same old.
Yeah,
nothing really changed. He changed the name.
Well, look, it's like you have always said. If you want a free trade agreement, it's 1 page long.
Right.
Trade shall be free. Trade shall not be impinged.
Or there is no free trade agreement.
Right. There's no agreement.
There's no agreement.
So
you do whatever you want.
Right. Exactly. And so it's.
I mean, I don't have to sign a free trade agreement with Publix.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I just go in there and and it's interesting because generally speaking, there's nobody in there armed with a gun like there's at the county commission meetings where there's a soldier there in case you get unruly.
Yeah. Well, look, this to me is just more. This is what every president is going to do from now on. What you do is you tweak all of the laws to divert all the funds to your people. Mm-hmm. So, look, we just changed a couple of pages in there, and now Company X.
My buddy owns a shoe company, and guess what? He's
now he's doing awesome.
He's doing great, unbelievable.
And, so there's that. And it's the same thing with the tax cuts. Cuts.
Yeah. Well, of course, the other thing is another word that has lost all its meaning is reform.
Oh, yeah. What?
Tax reform. Okay, that means they're going to go up for some people.
Yeah, well, look, what happened to the postcard?
The postcard?
Yeah, are you going to be able to do your income tax on the back?
Oh, on a postcard, right. I thought you meant what happened to the penny postcard, which now costs 38 cents or something.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. No. What happened to the tax postcard?
Yeah.
Anything. It's just going to get worse from here. I can't imagine that anybody is going to pull an Andrew Jackson, go in there and really cut through the red tape.
Yeah, well, that's just to abolish the Federal Reserve, wouldn't that be
something? I mean, just, start hacking and slashing. And
well, he claims, of course, that he's hacked and slashed a lot of the regulations, which I think he has. Trump has.
And, we know he deregulated a little bit of the EPA stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, I read
screams and howls.
Oh, man, I saw something the other day that said something like the most corrupt EPA in history or something. Like, it's just all inference from news headline titles.
Well, it was corrupt before. I mean, that was one of the things. No, the guy he appointed was corrupt. That was what it was. Yeah, the Trump.
I don't see it that way. Look, they're trying to say he had dinner and lunch with these people, and he got basketball seats and stuff like that. And that therefore he passed legislation that was favorable to them. The legislation was good legislation.
Oh, yeah.
That is to say, from my perspective, the deregulation of certain industries. I don't think. I mean, we don't need a superstructure like the EPA because we have common law, because we have 500 years of law protecting where people get to sue other people. Because you don't need a Clean Water Act, because if dirty water comes onto your property, you can sue whoever put it there or whoever let it get there. That kind of stuff. It's like people think that the EPA is the only thing protecting us from companies. It's not. The companies themselves protect you from them. First of all, they're people, and like you, they don't want to just blatantly harm people, even to get rich. I know you think they're greedy capitalists, but they're not. They're regular people, and they have corporate advertising because they have to look good. You can't just have a corporation that just dumps radioactive waste everywhere.
Well, it does happen, though.
Well, as we know, the worst offenders are government.
Well, that's
and I'm going to say that the worst offenders in the private sector are protected by the laws. That, from my perspective, the EPA protects those companies when they pollute by assuming jurisdiction over the problem and then coming up with wrist-slappy solutions. Whereas if there was no EPA to take jurisdiction, you could have them sued in the courts by all kinds of people, class action lawsuits and everything, and there would be real retribution.
Of course, nobody goes to jail for that stuff either. It's usually a big fine of some kind.
Usually so, but criminal law evolved out of torts, so at some point you could see you could see, like they went out after the Exxon Valdez captain and stuff like that. You could see them doing that stuff eventually if the spills were willful. And that's what it comes down to is, for criminal, for crime, you have to have some intent. You have to have criminal intent. Some people have criminal intent, and that's what the laws are there to punish for. Those people who really need actual reform in their behavior. The criminal law shouldn't be there to reform sloppy behavior or incompetence.
What if you're drunk?
Again, that's just sloppiness, carelessness, recklessness. Those things they don't usually rise to the level of...
I mean, if you're drunk at the Exxon Valdez and you run aground and do, whatever.
Same thing.
Okay, same thing. I'm just curious what your thought was.
Yeah, my thought is, just because the outcome is hideously awful, the intent of the person is the only thing that you can change with the punishment. And if the intent wasn't all that negative, then it doesn't matter what you do to the person because they're already trying to do good. I mean, you can reform them a little bit on the edges and stuff like that. You know, there is a little bit of room for recklessness, severe recklessness and stuff like that.
Well, certainly if the captain, and the same thing with that guy that, the Italian cruise guy,
right,
who decided to go wave to his girlfriend or whatever,
right, and dump that
thing over. And but I mean, you know, these guys, they get fired, so they're probably not going to be head of a ship again.
Well, it's worse than that.
No, it is.
Look, you have to. Here's the thing: you have to remember, Not only that, but these are people with. And every person is grounded in reality by their identity. These are boat captains, and now they're notorious boat captains, and that means their entire identity is destroyed. Everybody they've ever known and seen and talked to, if they ever see those people and talk to them again, it's, oh, you're that guy. You're not just Captain so-and-so anymore. You're the notorious Captain so-and-so now. And so what I'm getting at is those people have a vested interest in never becoming that person. And no matter what, you don't have to have a government punishment for them. There's a societal punishment that is.
Well, it's like the what is it? The shunning that they do in some communities. You know, when they shun them. It was interesting several years ago, and I forget the guys who wrote it, but it's been probably 15 years now at least. A book called The Death of Common Sense. And it's an easy read, but this guy goes through on some of the EPA stuff where the regulations are exactly opposite of what, you know, they go to the company and the company says, well, you know, the EPA come by and said, you have to, this pipe is polluting. And if they would walk out to the dock, they would see where the real pollution is.
Right, yeah.
And, but that's not regulated. So, you know, so they get away with it. Okay, next item that I've got here is incumbent, which is surprise, surprise, the incumbent Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill has come out in opposition to Brett Kavanaugh 10 days ago. This move may have been ill-advised as poll. Now she is in one of the states, in a red state, where Trump took the state, and there's a, you know, she's a Democratic senator, been there forever. But her opponent is now neck and neck with her. So that's one of the things that they're thinking is that some of the Democratic senators might vote for Kavanaugh because they're in a race. Because of that. So, you know, we'll have to see. I mean, when is the vote going to come? Is it going to come this weekend or tomorrow? What is it? Today's Wednesday.
Today or tomorrow? Or this week they said. So.
Okay, well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, apparently polls last month have been tied. And so this guy named Hawley, apparently his polls surged when she said that she wasn't going to vote for him. So, you know, apparently, I don't know. And along that same thing, the nation was glued to Christine Blasey Ford's powerful testimony in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. That's last Thursday, almost a week ago. Many viewers immediately showed their support by opening their wallets. What happened was they set up GoFundMe.
For legal bills. Yeah, they got like $1 million or something.
Yeah, right. I mean, right. It says here the two GoFundMe campaigns had raised more than $683,000 to help the 51-year-old Ford, and but so far nobody knows where the money's what's going to be used for. Discussing our polygraph and legal fees during the hearing, the research psychologist and professor at Palo Alto said, "I'm aware that there have been several GoFundMe sites, and I haven't had a chance to figure out how to manage those because I've never had one done for me." And so we don't know. But I thought it was interesting that immediately, and in this, you know, I don't know if there have been any GoFundMe sites for Kavanaugh, but
yeah, no.
But
he's
but
rich.
It's, yeah, right. But is he rich? No, he's not rich.
Sure, he's certainly well off. He lives in the D.C. area, doesn't he? And
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah,
he's been a judge for quite some time.
Yeah, but they don't get all that much. 150 grand, 200 grand, something.
Yeah, well, that's
in D.C.,
good.
that's, you know, barely scraping by.
Well, if his wife has a good job,
that's true too. I don't know. So anyway, I think it's interesting that the Me Too people have decided to pony up the money for Ford.
Sure. Well. Yeah.
And of course, it was also that we talked about last show that he instantaneously what's it from Massachusetts? What's her name? Pocahontas. She sent out
Warren.
Warren. She sent out a fundraising letter.
Yeah, I forgot to mention about her last week. There's now talk. She's thinking maybe she'll entertain a run.
Yeah, right, for the presidency. Oh, yeah, no, that's been in the wind.
Yeah, I know.
For a year at least.
Yeah.
And but I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that. Not about her specifically, but about her socialist tendencies.
Are we on Kavanaugh now, or are we?
No, we're not. We're moving on. No, we're gonna have to come back to him.
Okay.
This I thought was interesting. The transgender agenda, which claims a person's gender is a subjective matter based on feelings, took a huge step forward this week when a federal and Obama-appointed judge, a judge, ruling boys have a constitutional right to use girls' restrooms and showers if they feel like it, and vice versa. He said schoolgirls do not have a quote do not have a fundamental right to privacy, according to the judge. U.S. District Judge Marco Hernandez in Oregon did offer an alternative, however. This is the great part. Parents who object to boys using girls' showers and restrooms with their daughters can take them out of the schools, which their tax dollars fund. His ruling failed to address the fact that if they homeschool or enroll them in a private school, they must not only pay for their local public school, but also taxes for the expensive for the public school, for the private school.
Wow.
It is within the parent plaintiff's right to remove their children from Dallas, Oregon's high school, if they disapprove of transgender student access to facilities, the judge says. Once the parents have chosen to send their children to school, their liberty interest in their children's education is severely diminished. This is Oregon, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Berkeley,
Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. I mean, I'm just blown away. I mean, how does the? I would think that the torches and the pitchforks would be, but no, not in Oregon, I guess.
No.
Also on the West Coast, California has become the first state in the U.S. to require publicly traded companies to include women on their board of directors. No, I mean, what are you laughing at? What? This is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Women are half the population. They have to be on there. They have to be represented.
Yeah.
And we've got 13% of the population is African American. They have to be on 13% of the boards.
It is remarkable to me that they don't understand the competition for those types of positions, and that you would have to select the best candidates for those types of positions. You would want to select the best candidates, and by requiring a gender for at least one of the members, it seems like an incredible wrench into the process.
You think?
It's like saying somebody has to be under 5 feet tall or something.
Right.
You can find somebody. Don't worry. Keep looking.
Yeah.
And you had your 6 board members or your 5 board members who were all set, but none of them were women, because maybe none of them want to be involved in, I don't know, the robotics company or something.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we have had women. Carly, what's her face, was head of.
Oh, sure.
Had people.
It's not that they can't do it or whatever. It just goes back to it assumes that the CEOs are literally choosing less qualified people because they're men.
Well, we've had affirmative action for I don't know how long. For like they do that with the firefighters. They had to lower the how you could get to be a firefighter because some people weren't making it.
I thought that the trend towards affirmative action was stopped and or reversing. I didn't think it was still picking up momentum here.
I don't know about picking up. Well, this
is picking up momentum.
Right. Well, it's interesting.
Look, the next level of this is we need a black person, we need an Asian, we need a Hispanic, we need a transgender.
That's right.
It has to be 20%. Each group that we designate as, I don't know. I mean, how they're gonna come up with some groups. And say we want one of each of these people on every board in California, every company in California.
Well,
the companies will just leave.
I have no problem with this at all because I identify as a woman.
I understand that.
So I will be on the board as your woman representative.
Right. It'd be interesting if if it became normal for them to just ask one of the people on the board to
to be the woman.
Yeah.
You're the girl, okay?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna hire you, but
Yeah, we're going to hire you.
Small qualification.
Well,
here.
the only it's
in
no big
your
deal.
contract it
It's
says
and look, and here's your wig.
that. Well, I mean, look, you get to use the other bathroom,
Yep.
the nicer bathroom,
Yep.
and you get. I'm sure there's some other perks. You know, you probably get maternity leave, extra
Yep.
time, and so you get these perks, but you're gonna have to swear that you identify as a woman.
Yeah.
In your application.
Well, you don't even have to swear it. You just, I am.
Well, right, it's on the application, you know. Which,
Okay, yeah, but there's no perjury involved or anything.
No, probably not.
So anyway, the California-based public operation by the end of 2019, which is like about a year from now, but firms will need up to 3 female directors by the end of 2021, depending on the
3
size.
out of how many?
It says depending on the size of the boards.
Okay.
So if the board, the thing about it, I'm guessing that if the board has 3 people, that what are you talking? No, the boards typically have 15 or something. I don't know. Hundreds of companies will be affected by the law, and those who violate it can be fined $100,000 for a first violation, $300,000 for the second. Can you imagine? You don't. Here goes your prospectus or your annual whatever we got, that picture of all the board members, and here's how great we did this year and everything, and there's the board, and it's all guys, and then they stroll in there and say that'll be $100,000. I mean,
I can't believe that's so cheap. I mean,
yeah, no, that's true. That's
nothing.
why
don't they just say
it's pocket change?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just say, look, you forfeit your company or something.
Right. That's right. So anyway, a fourth of the publicly held corporations with headquarters in California do not have any women. Now, one of the things that might be kind of interesting in a way is the great law of unintended consequences. Some of these companies may choose to go private.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they'll just say, we're not messing with this. I mean, that's why there are private companies today, because they don't want to mess with all the filings and all the SEC and everything like that. You look at some of the biggest companies in the planet. The 2 chocolate companies are private, Mars and Hershey. Yeah.
Look, here's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, everybody should realize that it's incredibly difficult to start and maintain any business. There's a small percentage of people, I would estimate, that have the wherewithal to start a business and create a business. Now, a very small percentage of those people have the ability to scale that business,
right?
Make it bigger and apply it across borders, states, and the whole nation and such. So you're talking about a very select group of people.
Very select.
And you're going to pass a law which interferes with the company's ability to select and maintain those super select groups of people that, I mean, you got to figure they have to find people already who live in the area, who want to live in the area where the
No, they don't. No.
Boards can be spread around.
They're spread all over the place. No. The heads of companies are very often board members on other. They're all interlocking, and they get paid, $20,000, $30,000 plus expenses to fly out to the board meeting.
Still got to fly there. You still got to be willing to do a bunch of stuff.
And once a year, and but you put it in there, you make it worth their while. I mean, very often for a one-day board meeting, they'll get paid $50,000 or something, and plus expenses. But I mean, that's when you sign on, you reserve that day a year or 2 or 3 in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. But it's interesting because so often on the Fortune 500, they're interlocking boards. I mean, some of those people are on multiple boards. You'll find that some of those guys that are on 10 boards.
Okay.
So, because they have the great business acumen, and they know what they're doing, kind of thing.
And yeah, exactly. I think that speaks to how rare they are, those individuals.
Oh, there's no question. And I mean, and it's interesting because when you see the rarity, very often, even in the Silicon Valley, we saw this all the time, where it is common for the founders of the company to, once it gets to a certain size, they hire somebody else. They get out of the way, because I can't do this.
Right.
And they move out. It is rare that you have a Bill Gates or a Jobs or somebody like that is able to take it on up. There's like maybe a dozen in the whole country that can still manage their company, and even then, you wonder how long it's going to be. So,
Elon Musk. Oh no, sorry.
yeah, right, exactly. Well, I mean, Bezos and
No, I know.
those guys. But I mean, literally, you can name them.
Yeah.
Those guys that have started a company and gone with it. But basically, when you look at the companies, the thousands of companies that were started by kids or guys or something like that, and basically they're now on the board, or there's some, they have some little honorific title, something, but they don't in the day-to-day running of it anymore because they couldn't do it.
Well, we'll see what happens.
So anyway, I just think it's let's see, Democrat State Senator Hannah Beth Jackson, who authored the bill, said getting more women on boards will make firms more successful. Ms. Jackson argued that women
It's a good thing that she
more
knows so much about.
No, I mean, Ms. Jackson argued that women are more inclined to be collaborative and more adept at multitasking.
They're better.
They're better. She also thinks having more women in positions of power could have an impact on helping to decrease sexual assault and harassment in workplaces.
Sure, it'll save children too.
And she said government intervention is needed because firms have failed to make enough effort to increase the number of women on their boards.
The firms don't want to
in spite
make
of
money.
intrusion. No.
They don't want the better people there.
This is one of the last bastions of total male domination. We know that the
Total male domination. Everywhere. It's just men everywhere.
That's
on
right.
Boards.
Research by experts, I guess, demonstrates that female representation on boards is crucial for women to advance in corporate America. And women on boards are more likely to consider female leaders for most senior roles in a company, and also select more diverse applicants for the actual board. I mean, is this social justice or company justice or whatever? I mean, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
You're thinking. And this is California, of course.
It's not sexist.
No, right. No sexism here.
Yeah.
That's
one thing it's definitely not.
Yeah, right. Must be woman.
Yeah.
Needed. Board member. Must be woman. No discrimination, but it must be woman.
That's right. Will not discriminate based on sex, but you have to be a woman.
Right. Yeah. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, it turns out that he supported Trump's $12 billion bailout for farmers. Why do you think? It turns out that he's got a big
grass
farm.
in his name.
Grassley, right? But he's a big corn farmer. He's got a 700-acre farm for whatever, and so he's going to get his check.
He gets a big fat check.
Yeah, that's right. So, he said that the Trump administration has a responsibility to help farmers hurt by retaliatory tariffs and so forth. Bailout money is being provided to other industries impacted by the trade war. But they've already cut 7,800 checks worth $25 million, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So that's, Grassley is going to get his piece of the action. I mean, I don't know what
it's so weird.
Well, he gets $175,000 a year as being whatever he does, plus being a chairman, I think he gets a little bump. But now he's going to get, another $200,000 for corn production, whatever, on his farm, as if he needs it. Another California item. Mm-hmm. California Jerry Brown has just signed into law the strongest net neutrality protections in the country. Now, this is, of course, flies in the face of the federal non-net neutrality. So they've decided, well, since there is no net neutrality law federally, we're going to do our state one.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we're not impinging on the feds,
right?
That's because they don't have one.
Legal argument, right?
Well, that's right. So anyway, Popular State will have even stronger protections than provided by the Obama era rules that were repealed last year by the FCC. So he says it marks a huge victory not only for Californians but the future of the internet. And so the Council for the Consumer Union Policy and Mobilization Division of Consumer Reports and so forth. The Department of Justice, the feds, of course, are suing to block the law because the FCC has rolled back the laws. And so, as I say, the argument from California is since there is no law, we're going to make one. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I have here that the net neutrality is the principle that all internet traffic must be transmitted to consumers with the same quality and at the same speed, regardless of whether an internet service provider has a financial interest in promoting one website over another. The California law guarantees that all consumers in the state can access any social platform, streaming service, or other website regardless of which internet service provider they use. What's interesting is currently no regulations prevent the ISPs from blocking or slowing down, but of course it also doesn't prevent the ISPs from speeding up someplace like Netflix or something, so that you don't have blockouts. And what the thing about net neutrality, it's a scam, because it makes equal the little old lady who checks her mail once a month with somebody who watches Netflix constantly. And suddenly they have to have the same access and the same everything. And it's, to me, what you do is you pay for what you want. You don't have, like, I was in the store the other day, you don't have tomato equality. I mean, you can buy tomatoes for $1.99 a pound up to $5 a pound, but they don't all have to be the same price. They're tomatoes. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing about net neutrality, is it's like, to me, it's like the Patriot Act. Patriot Act has nothing to do with patriotism. It must be called the Internal Spy Act, but net neutrality is we are going to, again, we're going to step in. The government is going to regulate something that is done just fine by itself.
Yeah, I still haven't figured out exactly what it is. Looking at the statute, can't quite get a grip on what they're talking about. But it sounds like I'm with you. It sounds like they're regulating something innocuous.
Right. Well, we've come literally from dial-up, from the slow dial-up to the high-speed stuff today. It'll keep going. Just get out of the way. It's interesting. Here's what one of the people in California, one of the legislators in California said: getting our net neutrality bill passed means we are just a couple of steps from ensuring that all Californians have free and open internet. I mean, you look, it costs money. I don't care who you are. It costs money to lay those wires, the cables, and the upgrades, and the modems, and the servers.
They're thinking of it as some kind of liberation from the corporations making money off of the internet or something like that. They're somehow thinking that the government regulation is going to wave its magic wand and make sure that everything is fair over this area here.
Well, somebody's going to pay for it. I mean, this all goes back to the 30s when they passed on the first. They wanted to make electricity. They subsidized the electricity going to farmers, 20 miles out of town.
Right.
And also the phone service. Mm-hmm. There were farmers out there that had never had phone service since Roman times, and suddenly they were entitled to have phone service. And so, the phone rates were, in other words, they taxed everybody in the country to make sure Farmer Bob out there on his pig farm had a phone. I mean, it's just, it would have happened anyway, and who knows, the cellular service might have come along 50 years earlier if they hadn't been in there monkeying around with it. So the other, I got only a couple more things here, and then you can get into what you call it.
Okay.
Port Orange, Florida. Moving right along. This is amazing. A man tried to buy an 8-year-old girl from her mother at a Walmart in Port Orange, Florida, for $200,000.
Yeah.
Now, this is amazing to me because, first of all, Helmuth Kolb, 81. Okay, I'm calling dementia right now. First of all, right out the bat.
Maybe, yeah.
No, 81. I mean, I'm almost 81, but I'm still, and I'm dementia. But the thing is that 81 wants to buy an 8-year-old girl and $200,000. The question I'm asking is, was he carrying $200,000 in his pocket?
That's what I want.
Show me the money.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, with false imprisonment and battery, police said Cole tried to grab and kiss the girl after he offered to buy her. So Cole fled the Walmart after the incident, was tracked down by police and taken into custody. Police said there are other reports of similar incidents, and investigators are looking into other cases in Port Orange and Daytona Beach. He's being held under like $200,000 bond in jail, and I'm sitting there. This is a sick person. I mean, he's 10 times the age of this girl.
Yeah, well, look, obviously the implication from the story is that he's a part of a child smuggling ring. And
you don't pick him up in Walmart with the mother.
I don't know where they get him. They got to get him somewhere. But
I'm saying he offered the mother $200,000. I mean, it's one thing if you snatch it.
Exactly.
That's one thing. If the mother looks around, the kid's not there.
Right.
That's one thing.
Right.
But when the guy comes up and says, "I'll give you $200,000,"
right? Like mom's gonna be like, "Oh, sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Make it $300. It's yours." yours.
That's right. 250.
250.
That's right. You want I got another one in the car.
You got another one in the car. Cheap.
That's right. That's right.
Still in diapers. Cheap.
That's right. Yeah. No, I'm with you. There's something else going on.
No, there's no question. I look at this, and I'm not saying I'm not saying it's fake news, but this is this is clickbait,
Right.
and I'm sitting there thinking there's way more to this than anybody would tell me. Now, next item, clapping. This is in England, which is going down the toilet. Clapping has been banned at a leading university student union to avoid triggering anxiety. Now, what happens is if you're watching a performance, a stage performance or something, normally when they get out, you do the clapping, right?
Right.
Banned.
Why? No, why is that?
Because it's triggering anxiety.
On whose part?
The University of Manchester Students' Union passed the resolution to ban clapping at student union events at the first Senate session of the academic year on September, whatever, according to student newspaper, the Mac Union. Now, the point is that it's like here at University of Florida, it's like what's the government called there?
Blue Key or something?
Not Blue Key, that's the lawyer one. The regular student council or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
They passed a law that said no clapping at student functions.
So are they doing this to protect the other
Avoid
members?
triggering anxiety.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to figure out whose anxiety they're talking about.
It was argued that the loud noise of traditional clapping and whooping pose an issue to students with anxiety or sensory issues.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with what they're whooping and clapping about?
No. It's nothing. You can't whoop and clap about anything, basically. Now, what you do get to use is BSL.
Which is?
British Sign Language.
Uh-huh.
You can go, this is one hand clapping. Yeah, exactly.
ha.
Right. Because I remember it was interesting. One of the big deals when I was in college was the snapping of the fingers.
Right, yeah.
But that was, so snobby, it was just unbelievable in a way, snapping of the fingers. Well, so anyway, it's jazz, they call them jazz hands. And apparently, I don't know what the sign is.
Jazz hands is like
yeah,
this.
right. That's what it is. Exactly right. That's clapping.
So you're supposed to go like this?
Yeah, that's clapping. Now, that's one thing. It's
that gives me anxiety.
Yeah, right. Well, I understand if you're at Gallaudet, because that's this school in Washington that's for hearing.
Okay.
We wrestled them. So the final thing I've got here is that former President Barack Obama is jumping into the fray, is putting his name behind 260 more Democratic candidates ahead of November midterm elections. With the latest list including progressive New York congressional candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He's endorsing the socialist, the avowed Democrat socialist.
Of course he is.
Her platform includes Medicare for all, tuition-free public schools and universities, and housing as a human right.
Oh, sure. And hey, you were absolutely right. Last time it was not Roosevelt, it was Hoover.
Yes.
And it was not only a chicken, but a car
in every garage, right.
And add Elizabeth Warren in there, and it's a home for everybody.
Right.
So you get free tuition, free health care, free car, free house, free phone. Dude, it's looking good.
Yes, looking good. And of course, let's see, her platform includes a human right. Obama's other endorsements include Florida gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum and Bill Nelson, who's been there since Lincoln.
Yeah.
But Andrew Gillum, of course, is our local social justice warrior, commie, whatever. I mean, it's stunning to me. It's stunning that he's on the ballot.
Well,
it's a close race between him and DeSantis.
Yeah, look, here's what I'm going to say. What we see across the nation are radical left-wing people winning their primaries.
Right. No, you're right about that.
And then they have strong polling in the super left-wing media.
Right.
So I think they're going to get blown out in the end. And
yeah, I think we're only just about a month away, so we got about 8 more shows between now and then. Make sure you watch us because we're going to be keeping you up on this stuff.
Right.
The Jimmy Doane show on Wednesdays and Sundays at 4 o'clock. Tune in, as we say. So anyway, that's pretty much what I had.
All right, I got a couple of quick things.
Okay.
One, a woman was arrested, 37-year-old woman, for allowing her 10-year-old to get a tattoo.
Really?
Yes.
Child endangerment? No.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. It's not illegal for the 10-year-old to get a tattoo, but apparently the tattoo artist did not have his papers in order.
Ah.
And it was a violation of his health.
So wait. So let me get this straight. He was. We don't know if it was a tattoo parlor. Was this just done in the girl's house or what?
Well, yeah. Apparently, it was a teen who does the tattooing in his house.
Okay.
Yes. So, he didn't follow the protocol. His papers were out of order.
Or didn't have a license.
Yeah.
So. Now, of course, what you wonder is. Not that it matters, I guess, but they have jailhouse tattoos. Of course, they're already in jail.
Right.
But,
well, I'm sure he'll get tatted up while he's in there.
Yeah, right.
Actually, it's the mom that's arrested. So,
oh, that's right. So she'll get tatted.
Yeah, maybe she'll get a couple.
Yeah.
Tramp stamps.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh my God.
And it's a good thing that our money.
So they arrested the mother, not the kid who was doing the tattooing.
Right. Yeah. No, they arrested the mom for child endangerment. Yeah.
Jeez. Of course, the question is not that it matters that much. I mean, how'd they find out about it, I guess? Girl went to school, 10-year-old, here's my new tattoo.
Oh, yeah, the teachers told me.
Yeah, okay, the teachers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, teachers, of course, they're the ones that are the first line of defense, if they see a little scrape on somebody. Right?
Oh, sure, call
child abuse.
Central control.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, big new investigation, seemingly, maybe, potentially, theoretically on the horizon about Trump's taxes and such coming out.
Yeah, when I was listening to Rush earlier today a little bit, and apparently it's a nothing burger. They have tried desperately. They looked through some stuff. What they were trying to find was the Russia connection, and there's nothing so far in what's been released about Russia, according to Rush.
Right.
But it's interesting because think about it for a second. Here's a guy who, files a tax return this thick every year, and he doesn't do it.
Yeah, no, I know.
His accountants do it.
But that's the kind of tricky thing when you sign off on it. It's like you swear.
That may be, but one of the things you realize is that there's no question that when you hire an accountant, they'll say that even they will tell you. They say, this area here is a gray area. Nobody's really ruled on this yet. Go fire it in there, see if you get away with it, because other people have. Right. It hasn't been questioned up to now.
Right.
It doesn't seem the 7,000 pages of regulations don't seem to cover this particular thing. So we're going to go with it.
Yeah.
And
fraud.
Yeah. Right.
See, that's what I'm getting at. Is that kind of you're exactly right. That kind of decision has to be made all the time in tax.
All the time.
And that is literally the exact type of thing that you could make a case for some type of fraud about. Now, I don't know, you got to get Eric Schneiderman or some rabid prosecutor to go after him or something. Yeah. I don't know who you could get exactly, but I just think it's well, we'll see. I think people are vulnerable in their taxes, just generally speaking. I think it's too tricky. I think, like you said, you're signing off on things other people did, lots of other people did in someone like Trump's case.
But I mean, it's not only do you have your accountant firm, PG and whoever it is do the thing, but then you have another person. Bob, would you go over this and see
the forensic analysis,
you got everything else,
your lawyers checking it out, and all that kind of stuff. I got you. But the reason you have all those people working on it is because if they make one mistake, they trace it back to you, and they say, "Oh, look at that!
Signed it.
That's it. You said you didn't own $300,000 worth of this stock, which your accountant bought the week before that." And
the other thing is that, of course, the 7,000 pages are spaghetti. I mean, they're so convoluted that there have to be that's one of the problems is the contradictions. Do you count this as a charitable deduction or
right. On page 702 you count it as a charitable, and on page 1327 you counted it as a gift, and
right.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because you have 7 accountants working on 47 different businesses or whatever it is. I don't know, because I don't have that much money and that much.
Well, that's the other thing is that they go where the money is. I mean, very often.
sure.
Now, there's two things to consider here. One is, on the one case, believe it or not, when you talk about some wimpy IRS agent, or agents, for instance, and they think maybe they found, an extra, I don't know, 50 grand or 100 grand or something in Trump, for instance. So they might go after it. But Trump's going to fire up his 50 grand worth of attorneys and say, no way.
Well, of course he is.
Yeah.
But you're getting stuff like Ocasio-Cortez tweeted out a couple days ago that Trump got $413 million through fraudulent transfers from his parents, and that he's a fraud from the beginning, fraud this, fraud that. And I mean, they're gonna dogpile on that as it's and I just, like I said, I don't know. We'll see. I wonder. I cross my fingers that it's that everyone's not ultimately vulnerable all the time for that. I mean, I'm a defense attorney, so I'm probably a little bit biased in that sense.
You should be.
A little bit paranoid, and then I've seen it.
No, you are paranoid. I'll tell you that.
Everybody.
You're the guy that at dinner time when we're sitting around the table say, shh. Don't say. They might be listening to us.
That's it. My watch is on.
That's
oh my
right.
God,
Yeah,
my smartwatch.
That's right.
Turn your phones off. Can I have your batteries, please?
That's you, Curtis. I tell you. That's for sure. So anyway, but it's interesting because the mythology has been that Trump got $1 million from his dad to start all the businesses. Now, for some reason, it's $430 million, according to Cortez or whatever. His dad's dead, right? I mean, is that part of the inheritance or whatever?
I don't know.
Well, whatever. Anyway, but I mean, they draw these numbers out of thin air all the time. Anyway, you're really going to trust her. This little 28-year-old.
Oh, I know. It's a number like the McCarthy hearing. 413 people in the House. 212 people. 79 people. And okay.
Yeah. Right.
So. And then finally, I guess the final comment on the Kavanaugh thing. Nothing much has happened since last time. I mean, a couple of different little things here. Some Ford's ex-boyfriends came out, said she lied about the flying fear, and she lied about coaching something on, the polygraph test, and
I heard that. Right.
Little things like that. But nobody's asked her the 50 questions that I had.
No, I know. That was the thing. I was talking to Miss Jimmy about that too, and I tried to recite. I got up to about 11 of them, but I said, you would have been, if they had just hired you to go up there.
Man,
you'd have nailed. Because she was a disaster.
Well, yeah. I mean, she says she's terrified, and then she's laughing and smiling throughout the procedure, except when she gets challenged, and then she gets all academic on everybody, starts pulling out big words, and she pretends like she doesn't know what "at your behest" means, and I mean, there's like these weird parts in there where she's just off, and then she's 100% sure about a memory from 35 years ago that was out of her head 100% for 30 of those 35 years, but now it's like it's crystal clear in her head, and
I can't help but think that we all know. I can't tell you how many times I've seen, even I've started talking with Ms. Jimmy Best. She says, no, that's not the way it happened. And then there'll be a photograph, and I'll go, oh, you're right.
Right.
Dang, I was there. That kind of stuff. But again, I keep coming back to the people that interview the children. Mm-hmm. And they hold up the doll.
Right.
And of course, the children are sitting there desperately wanting to please these people.
Well, and she totally looked like that. If you watched her questioning, every time she was getting friendly questioning, she was all, but every time she got challenged, she got this little girl voice in her, and her intonation was rising at the end of every statement.
Oh,
she would say, "I went into the thing, and then I went upstairs, and then I went."
Well, that's California talk.
Yeah, but it's like there was
Valley
some
Girl.
To me, it was almost like some sort of defensive regression thing.
Oh, no, I know. I hear what you're saying. No, you're absolutely right. It's always interesting to me when I hear supposedly very educated people, even here on the East Coast, and they declarative sentences that rise as a question.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was just to me indicative of her whole demeanor during the thing. To me was.
Well, of course, the other was the demeanor of the questioner, where she was, as you mentioned last time, saying "okay" after everything.
Yeah, that was crazy too.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
But
Well, we'll probably heard by Sunday
Yeah.
when our next show is.
What the vote is.
Yeah, Sunday at 4 o'clock, and as I say, they're not going to take I don't believe that Mitch is going to take the vote without having the votes in hand.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
I mean, unless they get a McCain in there that suddenly is,
Yeah, right. Well, Flake is like flaking out, like he's. Oh my goodness.
boy,
But-
what a good name for him.
Oh, he's perfect for him.
He is a flake.
He said what Trump said about Ford was kind of appalling. Well,
No, this is another thing that somebody
how
was bringing.
flaky is that?
We talked about this the
Kind
other
of
day.
appalling.
When you put an adjective on absolutes,
Right, yeah. What?
it's either appalling.
Usually, always. What the hell are you talking about?
I know. It is just amazing, and it runs me up the walls when I see adjectives on absolutes, or when they'll double it. It's very, very strong.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping Christine Ford suddenly remembers that the reason she knows she was wearing the bathing suit and the thing because asphyxiation because she had a near drowning experience at a pool that day or something like that. But we'll see what eventually comes out of it. But
Alrighty. Well, that's all I got.
that's all I got too. And so,
Right on time, just about.
hey. So let's see.
You can tell how many dropouts we had.
Yeah, it was, well, interestingly, we had, it looks like we had maybe a couple of streams, like it restarted once or twice. So I'm not sure.
Well, tomorrow the cable guy's supposed to come and reinstall the booster. So hopefully, I mean, I expect that we'll be stronger. You're already a little stronger.
Yeah, it's not the strength, it's something else.
Oh.
I'm not sure exactly.
I think it's your poltergeist.
Ah, it could be.
You've never had really great luck with.
Powerful poltergeist.
That's it.
Oh. All right, thanks everybody. Come back and join us. May have our website up soon. I'll let you know about that. Otherwise,
Don't tease them. Don't tease people. They're going to expect something.
that's right. Otherwise, you will see us Sunday at 4.